front of that card, back of that card. Life on Earth as we know it could not exist if it weren't for the simplest, smallest, and most abundant cell that exists on our planet. All animal and human cells are direct descendants of this prehistoric, structurally simple, but functionally complex cell. A generalized prokaryotic cell is a single unit of life. It consists of a glycocalyx, a cell envelope, a cytoplasm that includes a nucleoid, a ribosome, and storage organelles. This information was obtained from Microbiology: A Systems Approach, 2nd edition. To explain this first cell of all cells, we will start with the external structures and work our way in. In answer to the Earth's atmosphere, a prokaryotic cell forms what is known as a glycocalyx. The glycocalyx can come in two forms. The first form is known as a slime layer. The slime layer is a loosely arranged, repeating unit of polysaccharide molecules, which are sugars, and or protein molecules that are arranged on the outside. This functions to retard water loss and to hold in nutrients. The second organization that a glycocalyx of a prokaryotic cell can be is the encapsulated glycocalyx. The encapsulated glycocalyx is structurally the same as the slime layer, but the repeating units of polysaccharides and proteins are arranged denser and thicker and adhere more closely to the cell membrane. Let's say a prokaryotic cell is a bacterial cell that preys on humans. Well, the encapsulated glycocalyx will provide more protection for this bacteria as it tries to exist inside the human host, and will defend it against the human immune responses. Next, on our biological journey into the prokaryotic cell, we will talk about the cell envelope, sometimes called the boundary layer. It consists not always of three parts: the outer membrane, the cell membrane, and the cell wall. The outer membrane is structurally the same as the cell wall and does not exist in all prokaryotic cells. This would be an example of one that preys on a human host. This outer membrane is comprised of the same materials as the cell membrane, but includes a polyposaccharide called LPS that is toxic to humans, and when destroyed by the human immune responses, releases toxins that cause effects such as fever and incontinence when one is sick. Next, we will talk about the structural component of a prokaryotic cell. This is known as the cell wall. It is a framework which enables the prokaryotic cell to keep its shape. Next is the cell membrane. The cell membrane is a thin sheet of lipids and proteins that surround the cell pool, or the cytoplasm. These layers of the cell envelope are like an outer husk that surround the cytoplasm. The cytoplasm of a prokaryotic cell is 70 to 80% water. In the cell pool, it consists of sugars, amino acids, and salts. This is where the metabolic needs of the prokaryotic cell are met also. Now we are into the internal structures of our prokaryotic cell. In the cytoplasm, there are chromosomes, ribosomes, and storage organelles. The chromosomes are housed in the nucleoid, which is the source of the genetic information, how the cell reproduces. Next, any living cell must perform protein synthesis to exist. This is where the ribosomes come into play in a prokaryotic cell. A prokaryotic cell contains thousands of ribosomes that are doing protein synthesis at all times, and this is essential for the maintenance of a prokaryotic cell. The last organelle in the prokaryotic that we're going to talk about are the storage bodies. They are called inclusions and granules. The only difference between an inclusion and a granule is that a inclusion has a cell membrane around it. These storage bodies are used to store nutrients for later use. After our biological journey through the prokaryotic cell and its structures, I'm hoping you will realize how the glycocalyx, the cell envelope, the cytoplasm, the nucleoid, the ribosome, and the storage body help to make up a single unit of life.